I'm trying to, okay, there we go. I'm trying to fix all of my, all of my things. I wasn't coming through on YouTube. So I had to make sure that was working. See, that's why I start the classes a little bit early. I just want to make sure that everything's working and everything is good. For those of you that are on YouTube or for those of you that are watching me through GoToWebinar, do me a favor. Just give me a quick shout out in the chat window if you see a screen that says on air. There we go. There's the on air screen, and you can hear my voice. That way I know that everything is working effectively. All right. I see. Let's see. William, you said yes. I'm kind of going back and forth here. There we go. There we go. We got there. We got Terrence. Pang. All right, cool. Looks like the early returns are positive and everything looks to be working well. And it looks like my YouTube stream is going okay as well. So good, Richard. Okay, cool. You said YouTube and the other one. Awesome, good. So that's good. That means everything is working. And that's why I start the session just a couple minutes early, just to make sure that everything is good. So welcome again. And before we get started, I want to just assure you that this is a live presentation. It's 4:57, October 15th. So what time is it by you? Where are you guys checking in from? I'm just kind of curious to see how far our session expands out to. I think I had one. Well, I don't think I had one earlier today. I had one earlier today at noon, and we had some folks in there from Europe, which was nice. It was already getting to be afternoon time there. I think it's like almost 11 o'clock at night there in some aspects of Europe. Richard, Silver Springs, Maryland. I see a lot of folks here on the East time frame with me. I'm in Ohio, by the way. VectorVest has offices in Ohio and North Carolina. So I'm here from Ohio. My colleagues, Steve, Pang, they're all from North Carolina, which is kind of nice for them because they don't get the nasty winters that we get here. So kudos to them for that. So it looks like a lot of you guys are in the Eastern time frame as well. That's cool. A couple of you guys in the Sault Ste. Marie. That's cool. Awesome. So it looks like most of it I'm seeing on the East Coast. And then also, just kind of while we're chatting, I want to get you guys used to typing responses too. What do you do for a living? You retired? You still working? You know, what's going on there? I'm just kind of curious. I like to see where the, where the average person is. I created this concept for our retirement group. So originally it was meant for retirees that didn't want to spend a lot of time in front of their computer and really just wanted a way to generate some income. But I found out through the years that, I've had clients from 14 years old up to 90 years old. So I always just like to get an idea of where we're all at in the grand scheme of things. Okay, retired, William, Terrence, working Sadir, Johan, retired, still working as a systems engineer. Richard, awesome. Prakash, retired. So I'd say most of you are retired. That's cool. I'm still working, obviously, as you know, because, well, I'm here. But I'll be 50 next year. So as I tell my wife, and she hates to hear this, I'm like, honey, we are closer to Social Security than we are to when we graduated college. And then she, of course, gives me grief because I spent longer in college than she did. She's like, I have a master's degree and I spent less years in college. I'm like, yeah, but I went part time for a long time before I got my degree. I said, so it's, but anyway, just a good kidding and ribbing that we do from, from spouses. All right, cool. Well, let's do this. It is now 5 o'clock Eastern time. So let's go ahead and let's kick this guy off. I want to welcome all of you officially again to our webinar called How to Generate 3% per month with as little as one option trade per week. And I'm really excited about this because this is really my bread and butter webinar. This is what my job at VectorVest is. It's to help people generate income with options trade. It's my bread and butter. This is something I personally do multiple times a week. And today I'm going to show you how you can just take about 15 minutes per week and even less if you wanted to and turn that into consistent monthly paychecks. And it doesn't matter what the market does. Bull, bear, it makes no difference. So stay with me to the end. It's going to be about an hour and 10 minutes or so because what you're going to see can really transform your financial future, just like it has for me and countless numbers of clients, thousands. Now, remember, today is a live webinar. It's about 5 o'clock here in Ohio. It's October 15th. So please interact with me in the chat when we have those moments. But in this webinar, you're going to begin seeing how you can make a paycheck averaging 3% per more. And it doesn't matter what the market's doing. Bullish, bearish, makes no difference. You can do this with little to no prior experience with options. It's safer than simply buying or selling stocks because we have a maximum risk. And it's something that you can implement really, really quickly. Now, I know it sounds too good to be true. You might be thinking, is this legit? You want some proof. I know we're in the age of, internet influencers with their Lamborghinis and Airbnbs that they rent. I don't do that. I usually just post up my trade results. So I've been doing this now with VectorVest for really 10 years. And I think, well, I've been profitable every year. I've hit my goal in, 8 out of the 10 years. This year I'm setting up very nicely. This is what is so far looking this year. I have 100,000 in capital. I've got a few trades to add to this, but I'm up around 21% so far as of the end of September. So I have no doubts that by October, November, December, I'll get right up into that 3% threshold. But even if I don't, and I only make 30% this year, I still am pretty happy with those results. But over the long haul, over that decade that I've been working with VectorVest, I've averaged about 3% per month. So again, I have 100,000 in capital I do with this. It's 20 grand. If you did 50,000, if you did 10,000, 5,000, whatever, you can still make money. Okay? Now, each week I place those live trades with people. So those aren't just trades that I just talk about. I'm actually doing those trades live with my clients. And one of my recent students sent me this email and said, hey, Ron, thank you for the SPX paycheck course back in September. I've been using the method tracking my performance. Thought you'd like to see the results. I entered my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st with only 5,000 in my margin account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retired in-laws to help them grow their account in retirement. And listen, I love hearing that because it's not so much about my success. It's about how I can parlay that success onto you. And when I see clients email me this, it really makes me feel like I'm doing a good thing. So there's also a lesson here. Carrie started with 5,000 bucks. You don't have to have 100. You don't have to have 200. You don't have to have 50. You can start very small because even that small amount, if you average 3% per month, compounded over 15 years puts you at $1 million. Now, obviously, if you started with a little bit more, like 25, you'd be near $1 million after 10. You're looking at some serious money. Now, clearly, if you have more than that, you get there a lot faster. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results today, and we're going to talk about a few of them today specifically. Now, these are real people just like you. So as I teach you the system today and I share their stories, pay attention because you might find you're in a similar position now as they were when they started. Now, my name is Ron Wheeler. I'm the option income coach here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for 28 years. I've been at VectorVest for almost 11. Now, when I first started trading back in 97, I started out like a lot of traders do. I had mostly losses. Now, I actually worked for a company that created analytical software, not VectorVest at the time. We were commodities traders. So I got my learning by becoming a commodities trader. And I had some great people take me under their wing. So after about a year and a half, I finally started trading properly. I finally started making money. But I traded commodities. I was not really a stock guy, and I was not an options guy by any stretch of the imagination. Okay? Options at the time, in fact, scared me because I had heard all of the horror stories of options. Oh, I took this options trade. I got the market right direction. The options blew up and I lost a bunch of money, even though I had the direction right. So at a very early time in my trading career, I had a very negative feel for options. Now, that all changed. One of our clients came to visit our Ohio office, and I've been born and raised in Ohio, by the way, so I work for Ohio VectorVest. And he came in, and he was actually an options trader, and he worked for a hedge fund, so he did it commercially. He did it professionally. And he came in and visited us, and he said, hey, Ron, I know you don't like options, but let me show you what I do with options. So he showed me like how the institutions did it and made money. He showed me that by using options, and they were originally created for risk control, he showed me how I can create trades on the same things I traded all the time. Trades that I could make money even if I was wrong on direction, and then also lock my risk down to very, very little. He showed me how options can stack probability and control risk like nothing else. So think of the pressure that takes off you, right? You're stacking probability. You don't have to be right to make money, and you're controlling risk better than any other type of trade. That takes a lot of pressure off you. I became interested in options. Now, it wasn't like overnight. I didn't flip a switch and become an options trader. I still traded commodities, mainly for the next probably 8 years or so. But about 15 years ago is when I really, really, really started looking more and more into options. After spending 8 hours a day in front of screens all day, I decided that I wanted to have my life a little bit easier. and I started transitioning over to trading options to where I'm today about 99% options in my active trading. Now, I own stocks and things like that in my IRA, but my active trading is 99% options. So what I plan on doing today is kind of taking you on a journey. I'm going to show you the system that I use that helps you generate that on average 3% per month. I'm going to show you case studies. I'm going to show you examples of our clients who are doing this. And I'm going to show you our system so that if you learn and follow strategies, you can ultimately do the same. And do me a favor, stay with me to the end. There's a lot of great information in today's webinar, so it's definitely going to benefit you. If you do stay with me to the end, I put together a checklist to help you plan out your trade. It's a little PDF. We'll drop it in the handout section. Just remind me when we get to the end because most of the times we forget because we've been talking for an hour. And then also, I love to interact during the webinar because we get so much more out of it. So please, myself, my colleagues are here. Please ask questions in the chat. We'll help you. Okay? Now, there's only so much I can cover in about an hour. So at the end, I'll be mentioning some things you can do after the webinar if you want to continue your education and start doing this quicker. But I guarantee this is going to be 1 hour of packed information. So do me a favor. If you're good with that, just give me a quick shout out in the chat. Will you just say yes? That way I know that we're all still working and everybody's still paying attention and we're good to go. All right, good deal. Yes, 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 yes. I like it. Bryce, you were first. Sudhir, Terrence. All right, you guys were the first ones I kind of signed in there. Dave. Now they're offline in. All right. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important because if you don't have an income system, financial stress is your constant companion, and it creates a number of problems for us. You may feel stuck working longer than planned, or you're stressed about running out of money. You might be depleting your savings faster than you can fill it, especially with how prices have risen over the last 5-6 years, right? If things don't improve and you don't have a good income system, you're going to have losses that continue to draw down your accounts. You're going to get behind on your investment goals, maybe even question your ability as an investor. You might even have to fear you'll give up on investing, go back to work. Or worst case, you're going to run out of money during retirement. Now, with Options Paycheck, we're going to teach you a system that's going to help you generate income. You can break out of that. It's designed to help you generate income safely, consistently, and in less than 15 minutes a day. And I think this is one of the most important points of the webinar, so pay attention. If you want to be financially free, you need to have income. To be financially free, you need to learn to generate that income from your existing investments, enough to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So let me say that again. In order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So whether you're still working or maybe you're retired, the ability to generate income from your investments, it's one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, things change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they kept paying you. It's like a tap you can turn on whenever you want. That's going to allow you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you've got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire younger. Now, as I said, I think this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it again. When the income from your investments exceeds your living expenses, you become financially free. Now, example of this. Brian's a client of ours who had a great example of how easy you could become proficient at drawing income. He had some health problems and he needed a way to supplement his income. So we taught him the Options Paycheck system and he was able to generate $23,000 in profit starting with just $6,000. He achieved 100% winning trades in 10 months, 31 of 31 winners. Now, the thing I want you to point out here is this isn't beginner's luck. It's the result of following the system. It's the system that helped Brian get to that level, those 100% winning trades, and create that $23,000 in profit in 10 months. Now, the system revolves around a strategic mindset shift here. If you want to know how to generate income with options, you need to learn how to become the seller, or what we call the casino. Okay? This is that choice. You're going to either continue being a gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way you can make consistent income. It allows you to win even if you're wrong. Now, why do you want to be the casino? You want to be the casino because the house always wins. And I don't know if you've been following Vegas lately. They've been winning a lot more because they've been killing the odds in their favor. You ever see a roulette wheel with 3 greens? You ever see blackjack that doesn't pay like it used to? It used to pay like 3 for 2, now it pays 6 to 5 or something. The house always wins because they control and stack probability in their favor. The options paycheck is built around that model of stacking the odds massively in your favor. Now, make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you have to learn how to stack probability in your favor. And the obvious question is, how do you do it? Well, that first step is the shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is one of our clients. He's a great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. He said prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from brokers. Now, Bruce originally focused on our SPX income trading system, where you're trading just the S&P 500. It's our most basic trading system. He said he wasn't the most technical person in the world. But in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from 100 to 497,000 in 3.5 years. He said he's achieving a 74% winning percentage simply by following the rules of the trading system. And he said it takes him about 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. This is an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up, so what do? You buy a call in the options world. Why? Because that's the most basic options trade there is. You buy a call when you think a stock's going to go up. A call gives you the right to own the stock at a certain price and time later on, right? But what ends up happening a lot of times? Well, maybe the stock doesn't go up at all, or maybe it doesn't go up enough, and that call you bought ends up expiring with no value. Has that ever happened to you? Yes? Well, what's the problem that's causing you to lose? Most people feel like, well, maybe they picked the wrong stock, or maybe it was the wrong strike, or maybe it was the wrong expiration. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not necessarily your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they just go up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. It's how you put probability on your side. It's how you win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. Now, as a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner, right? Because when you buy a stock, or even if you sell a stock, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having that buyer's mentality, we are going to have a seller's mentality. Instead of just hoping the stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to set up your trade using probability. Probability tells you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of essentially just needing the stock to go in your direction, you can pick a price. In this case, we think the stock is going to go up. So we pick a price below the stock and says, hey, as long as it stays above this price, we make money. So think about that. You pick a price below the price of the stock. And if the stock stays above it, you're profitable. So if the stock goes up like you think it will, we make money. If the stock goes sideways but still stays in that green area, we make money. The stock can even come down a little bit in price, and it gives you an area to make money. So right from the start, we're putting probability in our favor. And in some instances, we can even increase that more and more. In this case, I've moved it down a little bit lower. Now we have a 70% chance because the stock is right here. As long as it stays above here, we're profitable on the trade. This is the kind of thing you can only do as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor. This is the definition of an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you're wrong on direction. Now, Bruce, he continues to trade this every week. In fact, he posted in our group earlier and he said, hey, another day trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Bruce has graduated from trading just the S&P 500. Now he does a lot of stocks too. He said, life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That's a great picture of being financially free. Now, Mike was another one of our clients. He said he dabbled with options, but said he lost on each trade. Have you ever been there? Mike was the worst case scenario. He actually was like what I thought earlier about options trading. He eventually gave up options trading, but went back to try to learn more. But he said he never felt comfortable with it. He didn't know what he was doing. There was no set criteria. He had a bunch of options knowledge, but no practical way to do it. So he and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system of being an option seller, and he said he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over 12,000 in 4 months. Now, the key lesson is he went from buyer or that gambler to seller, the casino, right? And that's what turned his situation around. He was even so proud of his success, he sent me a spreadsheet of his trades. Here's his results. Now, the average days to close, he got 7 days, 5 days, 4 days, a couple of short ones, 2, 7, 7, but typically 7 to 8 days is his average trade length. So these are not day trades by any stretch of the imagination. Profits, 1,100, 1,400. Only 2 losses out of all 18 of those trades. 16 out of 18. He's pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 10 days. Now, if you're like Mike, and even how Bruce started, a lot of our students just trade the S&P 500 to start. That's involved only 1 trade per week and has averaged about 2.5% over the last decade. 2.5% per month. You're not just learning how to trade options, you're creating a future where your income grows without adding hours to your day. Imagine turning your financial stress into confidence, knowing your money's working harder than ever, even when you're not working it. And the key here is you're not looking for one home run trade. We're not trying to become a millionaire overnight. We're growing our account steadily each year. And again, that's another takeaway. You're going to hear me say there's a lot of takeaways to this. Home runs, they look good. They make great advertisements, but they don't win the games typically. The singles are what win the games when it comes to options and when it comes to trading. Okay? We're not looking for the home run that never happens. We're looking for those base hits. Now, you've seen by flipping from buyer to seller, you can start to see how the odds start to significantly stack in your favor. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to take and even further stack the odds in our favor by capitalizing on the 3 most common buyers' mistakes. So the first mistake that buyers make when they buy options is they choose unrealistic strike prices. They choose strikes that are so far away, the stock has no chance of hitting it. So here's the stock. Stock's trading at about $216 a share. A lot of mistakes that option buyers make is they see these premiums and they say, you know what? It's going to cost me $1,000 to buy an option on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way up here and buy a call. It only cost me $100. Well, now you've put yourself in a position where that $216 stock needs to go beyond $230 for you to make money. It's a very, very low monetary risk trade. You're only risking $100. The problem is you're stacking probability against you by making the stock need to move up $16, $17 a share. This is the lottery approach to options trading. Well, I'll buy that option for $100, and if it only comes in, once every month, I'll make money. You won't. It's the lottery approach. Most of the time, these lottery option plays, they lose. Why do people buy these if they lose? It's because they're inexpensive. Now, what we're going to do as option sellers, we're going to be the one who sells it to them. Okay? You're selling an option that has a low probability of getting hit. What I mean by that is this. It has a low chance of the market going from 216 to 230 over the next 7 to 10 days. Since it has a low probability of being hit, that gives you, the option seller, a high probability of winning. Now, the same goes for puts. There's people that buy puts way below the price of the stock because they're looking for a cheap lottery ticket for a move down. Or maybe they own the stock and they're trying to protect it or something. Listen, it doesn't matter why they're doing it. The fact is there's always buyers out there buying those options. And since there's always going to be buyers out there who buy these options, you may as well be the one who sells it to them. Selling these options gives you a 60 to 90% probability of success right from the very start of the trade. Now, the second mistake that buyers make is they choose options with expiration dates too close. It's like when you go grocery shopping and you see a steak that's 50% off. Generally speaking, it's 50% off because it's going to expire in 2 days. Options are the same way. They're very discounted the closer they get to expiration. Now, here's a time decay graph. I want you to notice the value of the option 6 months from expiration versus the day of expiration. The option is slowly losing its value along this line, okay, slowly losing its value, and then something magical happens about right here. It took about 135 days, and the option lost half of its time value. But in the last 45 days, it lost the remaining. The decay of price is exponential under 45 days to expiration. So what we're going to do is we are going to sell options in this window instead of buying them. A lot of buyers like to buy those options with 30 days, 45 days left because the price is cheap. It's lost a lot of its value, but it's going to continue to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper regardless of what the stock does. Now, to be specific, when we trade stocks, we're going to sell options that are 21 to 45 days to expiration. That's our sweet spot. It's got enough premium left to make it worth our while. It's got time decay that's working for us. This is really where the sweet spot is of being an option seller. Now, here's a graph of Home Depot. Most buyers, they go out there, they buy their options with an expiration out here, right? Maybe 30, 35, 40 days away. Even when they buy them out there, that time decay is working against them. They buy an option worth $1,000, but it might be losing $50 a day just in time decay alone. So maybe the stock goes up. Your option increases $20, but you lose $50 in time decay. As the option seller, that time decay works for me, okay? Because as a seller, I'm going to sell the option for a high price, and then I'm going to exit the position much later at a lower price. So I want the premium of that option to decay fast. That's what's going to make me money. Okay? So listen, there's always going to be people out there buying these options that are way too close to expiration. Let them do it. We're going to sell it, and we're going to capture the premium and stack probability in our favor. Now, the third mistake, and pay attention to this one because a lot of people don't see this one. They buy what's called an overpriced option. So let me show you what I'm talking about with this. Here you got two stocks. I want you to look at the prices. They're both the same basically, where they're within like 12 cents of each other. But even though the stocks are the same price, look at the option premium. The one on the left is $9.10. Now, if you're not familiar with options, premium is listed per share, and when you buy an option, you have 100 shares. So if I were to buy that option on the left, it was going to cost me $910. If I buy the call on the right, it's going to cost me $180. Now, I'm not playing tricks on you here. They're both the same price stocks, the same expiration, and the same strike price. So I'm not trying to play it here, okay? But the option on the right is 4 times less than the option on the left. Why? Because that option on the left has extremely high volatility. When volatility rises, the option premium rises. And when people buy those options, they're paying too much. Well, what's the big deal, right? Ron, I'm trading a $100,000 account. What's the difference if I pay $900 for the option versus $180? Well, it's not so much it costs, it's what it does to it. Let's say that both of these stocks go up $8 a share. If you buy a call, you've got direction right. They're both going up $8 a share, right? But the option on the left actually loses money. You're going to walk away from that trade a loser. The one on the right, you're going to make like 400% on that trade. All because you didn't see that option on the left being extremely high volatility, and the premium was just too expensive. Now, the whole purpose of this is let's capitalize on mistakes that buyers make. Well, buyers shouldn't be buying expensive options. So what we're going to do is we're going to seek those bad boys out and we're going to sell them. We're going to find those expensive, overpriced, high volatility options, and we are going to sell them because it helps us make more money and it reduces our risk and it stacks probability even more. Okay? So we're going to seek those guys out. So kind of get a recap real quick here. We talked about we're going to sell overpriced options. We're going to sell them 21 to 45 days to expiration. Just giving you a couple little key principles to remember. All right? Now, Bob's got one of the most interesting stories I've seen. And I remember talking to him about his testimonial, and I was laughing constantly on the phone. He was very funny about all this stuff. He said he either ended up broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, he said it came close to living under a bridge. He said he implemented the options paycheck system. He helped turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn those mistake liabilities into strategy that helped him control and stack probability in his favor. He said in 4 months, he grew his account 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, if you want to do this, you got to control your returns and results by stacking and controlling probability. Now, let me ask you a question. Have any of you ever made any of these buyer's mistakes? Give me a quick shout out in the chat window. Give me a yes or a no. And as an option buyer, have you ever made any of those mistakes? All right, Bryce, Peter, Terrence, that's a couple of the first folks that answered yes. Absolutely, Richard. Listen, William, we've all made those mistakes. Remember, I told you early on I didn't like options. This is why I didn't like options, right? There's nothing worse than figuring out what direction a market's going to go and then not making money when you try to play it. It's not our fault. We just were taught broken systems of options trading. Okay, now hopefully you are interested, you're intrigued, you want to be an option seller. You're going to avoid and capitalize on those mistakes we just talked about. Well, now let's look at how to trade with very little risk, because when a lot of people hear the word options, especially the term selling options, they immediately think it's risky. The options paycheck system uses a low risk strategy for selling options, and this is why it's a core strategy we teach our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk so important? Because most people who don't use the options paycheck system, they're not preserving their capital. They have one bad trade come in, wipe out all the gains from a bunch of winners. That's not how you make money. And if that happens, it becomes very hard to recover your losses. So what we need to do is implement a built-in protection system. We're going to take care of risk management before you even open the trade. We would never take a trade that would wipe out that many winners. Okay? That's the thing that irritates me the most about options and people that struggle with options. I guess maybe irritates a strong word. But the beauty about options is you know all this up front. You never put yourself in a position to where if you have one losing trade, it's going to wipe out 7, 8, hell, even 3 or 4 of your winners is too much. This is all known before we open the trade. And if you can do it, when you select the right stocks and you set up your trades in a way that reduces risk, you're going to be able to preserve and grow your capital. Like I said, we're not looking for the home runs here, right? They look good on paper, but we're looking for the singles. The singles, maybe a double occasionally. We're going to get on base. That's our goal. Now, one of the most common questions I get asked is, can I do this in a 401k or an IRA? Well, a client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year. By the way, yes, in most IRAs you can do this. It's called a limited margin IRA. Talk to your broker about that, but I have one that I can do this in. My wife even has one that she can do, and John had one like that. Now, John said he struggled and really tried trading things for a long time before he worked with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his previous inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. He said in his first year, he had 85% winning trades. He doubled the size of his IRA. And he said he spent no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. Again, these are clients telling us this. The options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk even before you open the trade. We talked about that. First, we're going to choose stocks that are very low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are rising in price, higher than they were a year ago, higher than they were a couple months ago, right? Similar to what you see here. Then from the options world, instead of selling an option naked, we're going to sell with protection. So a traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk down here. Okay? If you sell an option and the stock craters, remember that option is going to change values every day, right? Eventually, you're going to have to exit the option position. So if it goes way down there, you're going to lose a bunch of money. You're going to have that one losing trade that wipes out a bunch of your gains. Well, what we do is we shrink the risk down to this. So let me show you how this works. This again is a graph of a typical stock you'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph, so it's understandable to be bullish on a stock that looks like this. Now, traditionally, you like the stock, you go out there and buy it right here. That's the current price. Maybe you're even going to buy a call, right? You're still a buyer, but you're going to do it a little bit better. You're going to buy an option where the strike price is very close to the stock price, but not anymore. You're not the buyer. We're going to be the seller. If you think a stock is going to go up, we're going to go below the price of the stock and we are going to sell a put. Okay? Now, when you sell that put, you're going to get paid. In this example, if I sell that put, the stock's like 138, I'm selling a 135 put, I'm getting paid $200 per contract. If I sold 10 puts, I would get paid $2,000 for that trade, right? But you still have no downside protection. Remember, when you sell an option, it's not like you sell something on Facebook Marketplace and they come up to your door and they get the stuff and leave. When you sell an option, you have an obligation on. It's like when you buy a stock, you own the stock. Or if you sell short the stock, if the stock goes up or down in price, you're going to lose or gain money. Options are the same thing. You're moving premium back and forth. If the stock falls too far, you're going to have to buy that option back at a very high price and lose a ton of money. What we're going to do is we're going to reduce that risk to here. Now, the way that we're going to do it is we're going to use some of the premium that we received when we sold that option, and we're going to buy an option as insurance or protection. We're going to sell an option, we receive 200. We're going to use 100 of that to buy our insurance, and we're still going to get paid $100 to place this trade. If I did this trade on 10 contracts, I would get paid $1,000. Now that $1,000 becomes my maximum profit on the trade. I can make $1,000. All right. Now, think about what this scenario has done. You've got a stock. You think it's going to go up. If it does, you make money. How do you make money? Because the premiums of the options decline. Remember that time decay? They're losing their value. If they reach zero, you've made all your money. If the market goes sideways, it's going to be the same thing. You're still going to make money. As long as it stays above 135 where you sold the put, you're still going to make money. If it drops below 135, guess what? You're going to exit the trade. You're going to take a small proportional loss. Okay? All right, here's what I want to do. I want to show you some examples of some trades I did with my clients, kind of give you a better idea of how to set them up. So I'm going to show you some numbers here, so pay attention. Now, first, we're going to talk about what happens if the market is bullish. So if we're in a bullish market, we're going to be placing bullish income trades. And the key here is this. I'll give you guys a tip. We're going to pick the option strike that gives us at least a 60% probability of winning. So this is a trade I took earlier this year on DRI, Darden Restaurants. Okay. I liked the stock. It had good fundamentals, good technicals. I thought the stock was going to go up. It was trading at the time around $203 a share. Now, we already know a couple things. I'm going to sell an option that's overpriced. I'm going to sell an option that expires in 21 to 45 days. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my broker. Now, we have an Options Pro software that does this. All brokers have this information as well, no matter what broker you're using. When you go into your option chain of your broker, they're going to give you some sort of probability. Okay? So I'm going to sell a put on this stock because I think the stock's going to go up. The stock is trading at 204. Okay? If I sold a $200 put, the option market, my broker tells me that I have a 55% chance of staying above $200 to expiration. At expiration. Okay? That net gives me a 55% chance of making money statistically. If I went down a little lower and I choose 195, I have a 64% chance of staying above 195. Now again, the way this works is, as long as the stock stays above 195, I have a 64% chance of winning, right? That's how I win. That means I have a 64% chance of winning, a 36% chance of losing based on the statistics and the movement of the stock. If I go all the way down to C, 185, okay, I have an 80% chance of winning. Now, take apart any option knowledge you may have. If I just came to you and said, listen, do you want a 55% chance of being right, a 64% chance of being right, or an 80% chance of being right? Which would you choose automatically? Again, not knowing anything else. You want to be 55% right, 64% right, or 80% right? Right, Richard, Terrence, you want to be 80% right. Now, you remember that slide I showed you earlier where one bad trade wipes out a lot of winners? Well, this is where anything in the world in excess is bad for you, right? Drinking red wine is supposed to be good for you, but drinking 4 bottles a day of red wine is probably not good for you. Drinking 8 ounce glasses of water a day is supposed to be good for you. Drinking 8 60-ounce glasses of water is probably going to kill you. Okay? Anything in too much is not good. Probability in too much is not good. Because while 80% sounds really good, this is the kind of trade where if you win, you're going to make $100 on the trade. But if you lose, you're going to lose $1,000. That's not good. What good is being right 80% of the time? Let's say you did that trade 10 times. On the winners, you're going to make $800. But on the losers, you're going to lose $2,000. Yay, I'm 80% right. So who cares? You're still not making money. So too much of anything is bad. Our goal is to find the sweet spot, and that sweet spot is right around that 64%. This is where you're going to have a winning trade of, let's say, 100. Now, mind you, I'm just using fictitious numbers here, and you might have a loss of about 100. You have a 65% chance of being right, and let's say you take 10 trades. I know you can't take like a 0.4 trade, right? But let's say you take 10 trades. The winning trades, you make, let's say, 640, right? But the losing trades, you're only going to lose like, 360. So guess what? You win. You're 64% right. You come out as a winner every single time. You're controlling your risk. You're controlling your probability. Okay? That's the idea. So the sweet spot is in that 60% range where we want to sell our options. All right? Now, this particular trade that we're going to do, it's called a bull put spread. Bullish because we think the stock is going to go up. But now remember, as long as it stays above down here, so as long as it stays in this range right here, and there's really no up part of that, as long as it stays above that, you're going to make money. So if it goes up, you win. Sideways, you win. As long as it stays above that pink line, you're going to make money on the trade. Okay? You're going to make money. Now, it's a bull put spread. Bull because we're bullish. Puts because we're selling a 195 put and we're buying as protection a 190 put. Spread because we have two options with a $5 difference in price. Okay? That's a built-in protection plan. The risk on this trade is only about $98 per contract. So let's see how it worked out. The stock went up. Actually went up for a while, went down for a while. You were probably scared there, but look, you were still well above that price. In 2 weeks, the stock rebounded, and we were able to close out that trade. Now, we're not taking these trades, for those of you that know options, we're not taking these trades to expiration. We're going to go out at a certain profit target. So the average trade, even though we're selling options 21 to 45 days away, the average trade length is about 7 to 10 days. Okay, that's it, 7 to 10 days. Now, when the market's bearish, we're going to place bearish trades. This is an example from 2023. It was a while ago, but it doesn't matter. Bearish, bullish, whatever. I can show you an example from 2025, 2010, or 1965. It makes no difference, right? Here's a stock that's moving down, Target. At the time, the stock is 131. All right? So I'm going to go out there, sell an option, 21 to 45 days away. Now, here's the only difference. I think the stock is going to go down now. I got to go above the price and check my probabilities. So what does that leave me? I look at my option chain, and if I sell a 135, I have a 64% chance of being right. That means over the course to expiration, we have a 64% chance of staying below 135. So it gives you a little bit of room. Let me clear all these drawings out. It gives you a little bit of room. You think it's going to go down, but it can go up to about here. Okay? If I go up a little bit higher at 140, that gives me room to up here. If I go all the way to 85 at 145, I have an 85% chance. I think we already know that we ruled out that just because it's too high. Well, let me ask you a question. Which one would you pick now, B or C? Now we know a little bit more. Okay, B or C? David, let's see. A lot of you guys are saying C. David, Richard, Terrence, Stephen, you guys are absolutely right. C is the absolute correct option. However, in this particular example, I actually chose B. Now, do you remember that little slide that I showed you when options are extremely overpriced? You can stack probability more in your favor. This is one of those rare times when Target's options were really expensive. So I was actually able to go out as high as 76% on that trade and get myself a little bit more room to be wrong. It's not going to happen on every trade, but this happened to be one of those super expensive options. So listen, if you said C, you're right. But in this particular example, I was able to go out to B in the trade. So you were right. B and C are correct. But when we set the trades up, we'll know the exact probability to use based on the risk. Now, this trade is called a bear call spread. Bear, because we think the stock is going to go down in price. Calls, because now we're using calls. We're selling a 140 call, we're going up a little bit higher for our insurance, and we're buying a 145 call. And again, as long as the stock goes down, it can stay sideways. It's just got to stay below 140 bucks a share, and I'm profitable. Now, this stock really didn't move very far. We got into the trade right here. It moved down fast originally, then it kind of came back around. But here you go. 7 trading days later, the stock is only down a little bit, but that little move was enough to make me my profits. So just to give you guys a little bit of an idea here, I trade with a $100,000 account, okay? So what you're seeing is the results of my trades. My average winner is right around 760, and my average loser, probably about the same on those trades. Probably about the same. In fact, if you really want to know, I can actually show you my spreadsheet. I keep a spreadsheet of all my trades through the years, or all my trades through the year, and I can actually show you. By the way, this spreadsheet that I track all my trades with, you get this as part of the option paycheck experience. All right, here you go. I've got 49 wins this year. And I already showed you some of this stuff. 49 wins, 37 losses. I'm at a 57% win rate on my stock trades. My average win is $740. My average loss is $698. I'm in the trade for an average of 9.8 days. That's my stocks. I also trade the S&P. With the S&P, right, I've got 19 winners, 17 losers. My average win is 1,500. My average loss is 1,300. My average days in trade is 3. Okay, so again, you can kind of see where that $21,000 comes from. But that's on 100. Well, we're on, what if I have 50,000? Well, the percentages are just the same, except you would probably be looking for a trade at what, 365 or something like that, or 370, 380 as your average win, and like 380 as your average loss, right? Same percentages. What if you had less than that? What if you had 10,000? $76 win, $76 loss. So it's whatever you trade is what I'm saying here is it works. Okay, it works. It's a beautiful thing. All right. Now, another client I worked with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent. He felt unsatisfied. He kept thinking there had to be something better out there. Have you ever felt like that? Like there's something better out there? He said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing would provide more of a regular income with a higher probability of success. He said after learning the system of being an option seller, he had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in about 8 months. And he said his average trade only lasted 8 days. Can you imagine how that must feel to going from inconsistent to where all your trades are generating income? Now, let me ask you this. That was Jim. What about you? What would an income system like this allow you to do? Now, I know from what beginning, a lot of you are retired. Some of you are saying you were ready to retire. Having an income system like this might allow you to retire faster. Might allow you, those that are retired, to do a little bit more, right? More vacations, better country club, right? Anything, something that improves your life. Pass the money down, pay for your grandkids' educations, whatever. Having that extra income opens the doors to a lot of things. And it all starts from that strategic shift we made. Okay? Buying is gambling, Selling is how we control our risk and how we put the odds of success in our favor. Okay? It all goes back to that question. Do you want to be the gambler or the casino? Because keep in mind, the house always wins in the end. Okay? Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income. Now, let's put this together. I want to show you how you can do this in as little as 15 minutes a day. And a lot of my students who've implemented this have told me this is the most important thing they learned. Why? Well, one of the biggest things people ask me is how much time is it going to take? And that's a great question. Well, here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to find out how to pick the right stock, the right strategy. When do you get in? What expiration? What price? What do you do if it goes against you? When do you get out with profits? And when you start thinking about all this, right, it feels overwhelming. It's like finding a needle in a haystack because there's so much information out there, you don't know where to go. It takes you an hour to put a trade together, or you're going from CNBC to Fox Business News to reading the IBD. You don't know where to start. You're like a mouse in a maze, right? Bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. But when you have the right system in place, you can identify those good trades, get that income fast in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, listen, if you think you're too busy, remember, time is your most valuable resource. And the system requires just 15 minutes a day. It's designed to give you back control of your time and money. Because imagine what you could do with that freedom. But to get it, you need a system, and not just any system. A straight line system, a really simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find your trades, how to set them up, how to manage them. So let me walk you through the options paycheck steps here. Step number one is market direction. A lot of traders ignore this. They just go out and start placing trades bullish, bearish all over the place. We're stacking probability. Okay. So we're either going to be placing bullish trades or bearish trades depending on the direction of the market. Right now, we'd be placing bullish trades, even with the craziness that we've had, right? So we're going to narrow our focus. Market's going up, we're looking for bullish trades because when the market goes up, most stocks go along with it. When the market's going down, most stocks go along with it. We are lining up probability. Our paycheck system has a timing signal built in. That'll tell us whether to go bullish or bearish. Then we look for stocks. We want to select stocks that are likely to move in the same direction. So just trading stocks you know or the gurus on TV, it's not the best choice. We want to find stocks that are already in good uptrends when the market's rising, stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. Okay? Our options paycheck system uses two things. We save you time by looking at the fundamentals and price trend. We also have pre-built searches in VectorVest, which we use. That way you don't have to dig through all that data the institutions throw at you. Now, once you have your list of stocks, we're going to look at them from an options perspective. Remember earlier, we looked at how big of an effect volatility had on an options price? Listen, not every stock is going to be a good income trade. We got to make sure they're expensive enough premiums. We want to make sure that earnings aren't close by because earnings has a huge question mark, right? We want to make sure our expiration is in that sweet spot of 21 to 45 days. Now, we can use our broker to do this. We can use some proprietary tools like Options Pro that can filter this down in seconds. Next is the trade setup. We want to pick the one that has the best probability of success based on the strike prices, just like we did for DRI and Target, right? But then we also need to make sure it has the proper risk reward. It's no good being 70% right if you're losing 7 times what you make on your winners. You got to control that risk. That's in the trade setup. Now that you've got your trade picked out, you got the right strikes, everything's looking good. Now you need to know before you enter the trade where you're going to get out with profits, where you're going to exit the trade, and if you want to, there's even a repair setting that we can teach you to minimize losses. I don't want you in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. Okay? We plan everything out up front. We know when to exit a trade with profits. We know when to exit trades with loss. And in some brokers, you can even program that in there and have it automatically exit you at the loss. Lastly, a tool for speed and efficiency. Okay, you want to do this quick. You don't want to be spending all day. So you need some tools or some broker tools that allow you to do these. Some brokers have better tools than others. You know, Thinkorswim's really good. TradeStation's really good. IB's pretty good. You know, Tasty Trade, from what I understand, is pretty good. You might find some proprietary tools good as well. We have one called Options Pro. Saves me a lot of time. Speaking of that, Hugh came to me and he said, Lay, one of the biggest struggles that I have is finding a system that worked, but was also efficient. He said he didn't want to spend 8 hours in front of his computer anymore. He didn't have a proper balance of his retired life versus his income life. Are you like that too? Do you spend too much time doing things you don't want to do and then not enough time doing the things you want to? Now that Hugh learned the options paycheck system, he's got more confidence, more free time, and he's able to have a lot more fun. He said in his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners with over $26,000 in 4 months. Now, I've got a little exercise for you. I want you to take your pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of the system where you're really good. For example, if you have a quick way to find a list of stocks likely to go in the direction of market, chances are put a star by market direction in Stock Finder. But if there's an area where you're not sure or it's not working, like maybe you've never done this before, so option selection, trade step, and trade management are probably frowning faces for you. Find out where you're good, put a little star there. Where you need some work or you're not sure, put a little frowny face there. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds, and I want you to judge yourself to where you are in the trades. All right. What areas do you need to work on? Do me a favor, share with me in the chat window. What areas do you need to work on to become more proficient? Speed, when to exit, all areas, William, Terrence, option selection. Never traded before, Conrad, that's great. First two hurdles are okay, splat on the rest. And listen, if you've never done this before, it's okay. David, option selection, trade setup, trade management. Listen, at the end of the day, we just need to get this to where we have stars all the way down. When we do that, guess what? You're going to be able to create income for yourself. Now, I don't know the exact reason you came to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few guesses. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you've been trading blindly, bumping from one wall into the next. It's left you with inconsistent results. You make some money, but then you give it all back in your next trade. Just like Jim said he did before he learned the system. Maybe you've been suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Today, I showed you the secret to fixing that. And it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and now you're one of them. You saw how it's possible to win even if you're wrong, how you can do it with very little risk, even less risk than buying and selling stocks. You saw the system that gets you consistent income every month. And I showed you just a few of the people who use the system every day, so they never have to worry about retirement again. You saw over and over the secret to generating that consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. Now remember, you're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows that secret. That means there's 99 other investors out there who will continue to do things wrong. They'll be buying options, making all the mistakes we talked about. Can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those investors out there who will buy options incorrectly. Let them be the gamblers. As long as there will be those gamblers out there, you may as well be the casino for them. Because remember that old saying, the house always wins in the end. The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack the probability of success in your favor. Just like Brian did, just like Bruce did, just like Bob and Jim and Hugh and John. By now you've seen how the system works. You've heard how others just like you have achieved their financial freedom. So the question is no longer can it work? It's are you ready to make it work for you? So if you're interested, let me show you how to get started today. If you're like most people, you want to know, how can we put this in my portfolio? How can I get started on this right now? Well, you have a choice. Option number one is you can choose to do nothing and stay where you are. And listen, if you already have enough money to retire, you don't really need some extra income, then maybe you don't need this. That's great. But if you would like to make some extra income, that leaves you two other options. Do it alone. You can try to learn how the option trades work, try to figure out the direction of the market, learn how to analyze the thousands of stocks, find the best one to trade, hope you pick the right one, manage it correctly. Listen, if you're willing to learn by trial and error, spend hours in front of your computer putting it together, you might be able to pull it off. Or do it simple. Let me guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the options paycheck system, and in just about 4 weeks, you'll be ready and have a simple system to follow, and it doesn't take you a lot of time. So of those 3 options, ask yourself what's going to be easier for you. There's 2 types of people in the world. Person number 1 is someone who dreams about their financial goals, but they never take action or do anything to make it happen. Person number 2 is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see an opportunity in front of you. Now, since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number 2, and that's going to make you the perfect candidate to get started on that first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The Options Paycheck Experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using options, even if you've never done this before. This is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches you the secrets of generating consistent income with options, because we show you how to find the trades, set them up, and manage them to generate income, how to do it safely and consistently in any market condition. We're not just going to give you trades. We're going to teach you how to fish so you can do this on your own. You won't need me. Now, after going through the Options Paycheck Experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all the fancy terms, so you no longer have to fear options. You're going to have clear signals telling you whether to trade bullish, bearish, or even not to trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that are the best candidates for this. Okay? This is a rules-based approach. It's going to free up a lot of time. It's going to be yes or no answers. You're going to set up income trades that give you a base level of a 60% success rate. You're going to have a trade management game plan in place, so you know what to do with your trade before you place it, when to exit with profits, when to exit with a loss, when to repair the trade if you want to. You're going to be able to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker, whether it's your first trade or your 500th trade. This will teach you how to implement a system to safely and consistently generate income. Now, the curriculum, the course, is 8 modules long. We made them so each module builds on the one prior. So as you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer and closer to that end goal, which is a system for consistent income. Now, the first 2 modules, we call this the Option Income Foundation. A lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base it on a weak foundation of knowledge. Now, listen, we understand what it's like to learn options. We've been there. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome you're going to get from Module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, so you can use them confidently in your trades. You're going to know which option terms to watch, which that you don't have to watch, you can ignore them. That way you're not wasting time or getting frustrated with all this information that's not important. In Module 2, we're going to teach you what the spread is, the bull put and the bear call. You're going to be filled with confidence to start building an income system around these trades. Now that you got your solid foundation of options knowledge, we're going to lay out that step-by-step system to placing income trades to generate your options paychecks. Each step along the way, we're going to stack probability more in your favor, and we're going to teach you how to reduce risk. And it all starts with knowing when to trade. This is where you're going to get that complete clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at everything, you're going to know if you should focus on bullish trades, bearish trades, or when not to trade. Now that you know the direction of the market, you know to go bullish or bearish, now we got to find stocks that are likely to move in that direction. Again, this is going to stack probability even more in your favor. The outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that are going to give you the highest probabilities for success. And now that you got your list of stocks, we're going to narrow it down to the best option candidates that give you the highest probability for profits. By using the rules in this module, you're going to make sure you're getting paid top dollar for your trade and making it so you can make money even if the stock goes nowhere. You're going to continue to stack probability in Module 6 by setting up your trades correctly. You're going to make sure the trade has the perfect combination of risk reward. You're going to know exactly where to put those strikes, which option to sell, which option to buy. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because of careful planning and setting up correctly right from the start. Now that you got your trade picked out, you picked out the one with the best risk reward, you got your probability set. Now we're going to have your plan put in place. So you know whether to exit the trade not only to take profits, but to minimize losses. You're never going to be frozen like a deer in the headlights again. No matter what the market throws at you, you'll know how to react, which allows you to trade completely stress-free. And then finally, we're going to talk about the broker side of this. We're going to place your trades. This module is going to help you break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps. That way you can commit that to muscle memory in no time. We put everything you need into a checklist. That way you don't miss a step. I showed you guys that spreadsheet. That spreadsheet has every step along the way to put the trades on. It also does a lot of calculations for you. It does your risk control. It tells you how many contracts to trade. It tells you if the trade passes the risk reward levels. It's beautiful. Also, brokerage. I use Thinkorswim from Schwab. I've got some very detailed directions for that. I also have some videos done for like Fidelity and E-Trade and IB. That'll help get you started placing your trade with those brokers. But we do offer a limited amount of tutorials that are provided for some of the brokers. Now, before I talk about the price of the course, I want to make it even more low risk for you. I've been doing this course for 10 years at VectorVest. I offer 100% money back guarantee. You can go through the entire course. If you're not satisfied we taught you how to profit using options, just notify us within a week of the course ending. You get your money back. It's no risk. The only thing I tell you and ask you is do the course. Go through the modules. Do the assignments. Ask me questions. Because I know if you do, you're going to get the results that we talked about. If you don't do the work by actually doing the class, you won't be eligible for a refund. The reason why I have such a refund policy like that is because I only want to get people that are ready to jump in and do the work. I want to attract serious investors. So when I do that, I make the refund policy like this. That's who I end up getting. And remember, you're doing something that has over the past decade averaged about 3% per month. It's 36% per year. Okay? And it doesn't take a lot of time to do it every week. This is another email I got from Joe, and he said, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the options paycheck course. I took your class last fall, wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade, and so far I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, 68% winning rate. I've profited over 100,000 this time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking really good risk reward trades, I've profited over 50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades. I only take trades with a 2 to 1 or better risk reward. Thank you for teaching this simple but effective system. Now, I'm going to give you a couple little disclaimers here about Joe. Joe trades a lot more than I do. Joe's trading like 30 trades a month. There's nothing wrong with that. I, on the other hand, trade about 15 trades a month. I look for trades twice a week. Joe probably does it every day. There's nothing wrong with that. Scale the system up if you want to. Scale it down. Do whatever makes you feel happy. But you can scale it. Okay? Now, before I tell you more about it, I want to point something out here. It's important that you understand this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something we expect to become a millionaire in 24 hours. It's serious, requires effort. So if you can't commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously and who are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about it, you're ready to do the work and get the results, then the options paycheck system is perfect for you. Okay? It's step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full, complete income-generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course. But I've also put together a couple of cool bonuses for you. The first bonus, I call this the mastery package. You're going to watch the modules on your own time. Then twice a week, we're going to get together and we are going to cover 2 modules a week. We'll go over the key principles. I'll answer your questions. We'll do the quizzes together. We'll do the assignments together just to make sure that you know the modules. We're going to do a weekly Q&A. So every week we're going to do an hour Q&A. So you're going to have 3 sessions a week where you can log in with me and we can interact and we can make sure we know the system. You get access to a dedicated email address for Options Paycheck. I'm also going to give you access to both VectorVest and the Options Pro software if you don't have them. That way you can kind of take them for a test drive if you like them. They're not required, but they do help kind of find trades a little bit faster. But again, not something that you need to do. I will give you the caveat, VectorVest and Options Pro, that subscription starts when the live curriculum starts, and we'll go over that here in just a few seconds. So the way the system works is, this is a live course. We teach it in November and essentially December. In November, we're going to do the mastery stuff. We're going to learn the system, do the mastery. That way by December, we're ready for live trading. So in December, you're going to get access to my live trading sessions. This is where I actually go out there, find trades with my coaching students. I implement this for real. Okay? You'll see me find the trades, put them on, do all the stuff I do with them, manage them, everything. I do those on Mondays. You're also going to get access to office hours. That's basically us getting together 2 more times a week to implement trades. So 12 total sessions overall. Now, if you're worried it might be a little bit too much, I have my SPX paycheck system. This is the system that by itself has averaged about 2.3% per month over the last decade. It's one symbol, it's one trade, it's one setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. You can do this trade once you get the hang of it in 5 minutes a week. It's simple, it's easy. My teammate Brian taught this to his 14-year-old daughter at the time, and she was able to do these trades. It's very, very simple. For a lot of my students, like you heard, Bruce, and you heard Jim, a lot of those guys started with only the SPX trade, and then they kind of worked themselves into doing more. So just a quick summary. You get the complete options paycheck training program. That's the modules. The videos for the modules, the checklist, like that spreadsheet I showed you, the cheat sheets, the quizzes, the slides, everything. The mastery package, the implementation month, the SPX paycheck. Add it all up, you got a value of about $5,400. So here's the opportunity in front of you. Okay, I'm going to roll up my sleeves, work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. If you want to be one of them, together, we're going to create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options before. So if you want to join me, have me take you by the hand, help you install this into your portfolio, then instead of that $5,000, the early bird price of the course is $1,295. Now, I always offer a special rate to those of you that come to these live events. Because you spent the last hour and 10, 15 minutes with me, or you're going to spend a couple more minutes with me, I lower it down to $995. If you order before the end of the webinar today, you can get it for $995. That's the lowest price you can get the course at unless you've taken it before. That means you're going to get the full course, 1 year of access to the materials, the mastery package, the implementation month, November and December, part of December with Options Pro and VectorVest for $995. If you want to order it, go to optionspaycheck.com. Now, listen, $995. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a hell of a value, okay? It's not a cost, it's a value. You're getting a lot for that $995. 2 months working with me, all the materials you need, all the videos. How much money are you going to lose by learning by trial and error? How much profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do this on your own? Then ask yourself, how would things be different if you did it and it works, right? It's not too late. Finish off the year by learning to do this for 2026. You know, they say there's a best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago. So you can be sitting under the shade or under it now enjoying the shade. You know when the second best time is? It's right now. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. This is one of those deciding days in your life. Are you going to take action? Set yourself up for a second income or retirement? Or are you going to look back and say, man, I should have started in early 2026? Hope you make the right decision here. I'm looking forward to working with all of you in class. So again, go out there, optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. It's $995. If you've never taken the course before, this is the lowest price we have. After our live webinar, the price goes back to $12.95. So don't wait on this. Get yourself registered. Join me for the last 2 months of the year and get this ready to implement in 2026. Now, before I start the Q&A, I do have a couple more things I want to talk about. I've already mentioned November and December. Let me get specific. When does the course, quote unquote, start? What are the sessions? What if you miss one? Let's talk about it. The course actually officially starts October 28th. October 28th, we're going to get together at 4:30 and have a live welcome session. Now, sometime between, let's say you sign up right now. When you sign up right now, you're going to have access to everything except for VectorVest and Options Pro. That starts the first week of the course when it gets live, okay? Because there's exchange agreements and all kinds of stuff for that. So we start it along with the live material. Sometime between when you sign up and Wednesday, October 29th, watch Module 1 and hopefully Module 2. Then we're going to get together the 29th and 30th, and we're going to discuss them. We'll discuss the key principles, answer any questions you have about 1 and 2, work through the assignments. Just make sure you're ready to proceed to the next level. Then on Friday at noon, we do a Q&A. Then you can see for the next 3 weeks, 2 modules a week. We have the mastery sessions on Tuesday and Thursday. 3 and 4, the Q&A on Friday. 5 and 6, Q&A on Friday. 7 and 8, Q&A on Friday. Now, all of these are recorded. So if you miss one, it's not a big deal. You can always watch the recording. If you know you're going to miss one and say, hey, Ron, I got this question. Can you show me in the mastery? Email it to me. I'll show it in the mastery and I'll answer your question. You can watch the recording. Or you can just email me and answer the question either way. It doesn't matter. Now, where it shifts is on November 24th. This is where live trading starts. At 11 a.m., I do my weekly SPX trade, and then we get back together at 2 p.m. where we find stocks. Again, all recorded. You can view along with me if you want, or just watch the recording later. On Tuesdays, I have an office hours at 4:30. This again is just us finding and setting up trades. And if you're wondering, Ron, how can you find and set up trades when the market's closed? I do them for the next day. I'll show you how to put them on for the next day. We'll find them at night. Then we do it on Friday at noon. And that's going to continue through December to December 19th. We wrap up the class before Christmas. Okay? All of those sessions are live. All of those sessions are recorded in case you miss one. Greg, who recently took the course, said, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me. I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio I could afford to lose. After taking the options paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 for my options income trade with 9 winners and only 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You'll make more in the first month than you pay to take the course. I'll just throw out the disclaimer there. Based on your portfolio size. I was one of the fence sitters who didn't take the course for a long time and I saw it offered, but I lost a lot by not taking this program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciate the work that was put into making the training program available. Another question I get a lot is, well, how much options experience do I need? Well, we poll our clients. 85% of the course graduates said you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. I will tell you, if you know what a call is and you know what a put is, that's enough, okay? If you don't even know what a call is or a put is, may not be ready for you yet. But if you just know what a call is, know what a put is, you're ready for the course. It's as simple as that. Okay. You don't have to know how to trade them properly. As long as you know what an option is, you're going to be fine. A couple more of our students that graduated. Cheryl says, I didn't need a money back guarantee. I surpassed my expectations. Bruce, we already talked about. Frank said he already had a profit of $7,300 before the course. It was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades I'm doing. Cam made back the initial investment so many times over. Even though it's a small part of my portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Hugh, we talked about him. Jake, I finally found a method of consistent winning trades, the high probability of success. These are just a couple more of our recent graduates. Neville said, thanks for the wonderful course. Within a short time, you've opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought in the training manual, already paid for the tuition with a few Delta 35 trades. David says, this is the best course I've ever attended on my VectorVest since 99. You've eliminated my fear of trading options. The manner in which you present the material is truly outstanding. Wally said the course helped people like me develop self-confidence. If you have fears about options trading, you definitely need the course. Since the start of the course, I've done a few SPX trades with 19 wins, 12 losses, and a $5,700 gain. Nice. So again, if you're ready, optionspaycheck.com. $9.95 is the lowest price you're going to pay unless you've taken the course before. Now is the time. Jump in, get yourself signed up, because this is the end of the year. It's time to get ready for 2026. Let's get together. Let's be profitable. Let me show you how to do it. Okay? All right, let's do this. I'm going to bring my colleague in Steve. We're going to do a Q&A if you have any remaining questions, and we'll kind of go from there.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Ron. As always, I mean, even this late in the day, at least for us, right?
Yep.
Who usually get up early. Yeoman's job, yeoman's work, once again. So it's the traditional questions. In fact, there aren't nearly as many questions this afternoon as there were this morning.
Okay.
I can help try to answer some of them because I know you're winded. But we often get this question. Some folks have taken the options paycheck before. We consider those folks alumni. And you do get a special alumni rate if for some reason you wanted to retake the course. Maybe for whatever reason you didn't hit the ground running the first time around, need some refreshment on exactly how to do everything, whatever the case may be. You can retake the course as an alumni, provided you have not attended the course in the last year, for $495. Okay, so that's a very special rate for those folks. Also, although I haven't seen the question yet, there is more than likely this question lingering out there with someone, and that is, Steve or Ron, I am elite, and I know that I get special pricing on events accordingly. What is my price for this event? And your price is always the $995. So you're not under the gun in terms of having to get your order in within, the next, until the phone lines go down, for example, today at 7 o'clock. Which is just about another 45 minutes. You get that $995 price anytime you call us up, at any time in the future. But do not delay. I find that often the more you put things off, the more they just don't remain top of mind, and things can get lost. And this is a course that, if you're interested in, and I do mean this, it is a course that can absolutely change your life. It's unfortunate that a lot of people attribute options to being very risky. In fact, options were created to mitigate risk. That's why they were developed in the first place. It's just that we as humans in our human nature have discovered ways in which we think buying cheap options is the right way to go. And it's absolutely the wrong way to go. What we're going to teach you how to do, like Ron said, is sell the expensive ones and sell them to the people making those really bad mistakes. So, yeah, it's a great way to go. You're going to learn a lot. It's very consistent. And as you've seen, I mean, this year's been very turbulent. You've had the tariff fiasco. You've kind of had a little bit of the jitters with that again here lately, and all of that stuff. And Ron is still on par to hopefully hit target before the end of the year. So, kudos to Ron. Kudos to the technique. Kudos to what he's learned and is willing to share. And one of the things that a lot of folks have some interest about typically is, gee whiz, this sounds like a bang up course, but what if I have some lingering questions even after the course is over? We do provide if you become a member, and you sign up for this and you do the options paycheck experience, you're also going to have a very special email address where you will be able to communicate with Ron, and he's very, very good about getting back to you. Like all of us here at VectorVest, we're very busy, but he's also very quick. And, we try to get back to you as quickly as we possibly can. So that's really cool. A lot of folks also then have questions about, well, gee whiz, I've got this vacation. This is right around the holidays. I'm a little uncertain about what my next couple of months are really going to look like. What happens if I miss a session or two? Is that going to be a deal breaker? The answer to that question is no. Everything is recorded. And you can consume that at your leisure as we go. And, even in the case where, you kind of have to take the next module before you miss the other one. Listen, this course is built intentionally in small bites so that it will never leave anybody behind. There's lots of repetition built in accordingly. You're going to see Ron do trade after trade after trade after trade after trade until it becomes like second nature. So don't be apprehensive whatsoever if your travel schedules, may not be lining up to your liking or whatever the case may be there. We will definitely get you taken care of. And I think I've hit all the big parts there, Ron.
Okay. Yep. I think so.
If you want to add anything else in addition to that, I'm just going to turn it back over to you.
No, I mean, I think you hit all the key parts there. So I think we're good. We'll go ahead. We'll wrap it up for this evening. So, like I said, thank you guys so much for spending this hour and 20 minutes with me. I know time is precious, so I appreciate it. And I look forward really to launching this in the next couple of weeks. This is like my Super Bowl, but the cool thing is I get my Super Bowl like 3 or 4 times a year when I do these options paycheck courses. So I love it. I get into it. I live for this stuff. I really enjoy it. So I hope that you're ready to join me here in a couple of weeks. We're gonna really teach you how to do this and do this right. So thanks again, everybody. I appreciate it. Thanks to all my colleagues for helping me out with questions, Steve especially. And with that, I will see you guys hopefully in a couple weeks as we start our next options paycheck experience. So good night, everybody, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks. Take care.